Well, it's something, of course, we use every single day, but I bet you didn't know that elevators were first used right here in New York
That's
City.
right. If it weren't for elevators, we really couldn't live that high up. It's one of many revelations you're going to soon learn about here in New York in a brand new series we're calling It Happened Here First. Here's Matt King.
Peter Cooper commissioned the construction of the Cooper Union's Cornerstone building 165 years ago. In this 5, then 6, and eventually 7-story building, once the tallest in all of New York City, we find the first elevator shaft, perhaps in the entire world, designed for the modern passenger elevator.
Hoist systems, lifts of all kinds had been used to move materials for manufacturing, for shipping, for mines, for construction, for
more than 4,000 years, dating back to at least ancient Egypt. But as Cooper Union's acting dean of architecture, Elizabeth O'Donnell, notes, those primitive ways of moving objects up also provided ample opportunities for them to come unexpectedly crashing down.
They were not used yet for passengers.
And a full 4 years before any New York City building consistently filled an elevator with passengers, the Cooper Union constructed the city's first elevator shaft, a round one running from basement to roof that still stands and which students still use today.
Peter Cooper knew that very shortly passenger elevators would become an important part of life in New York City.
A century ago, 500,000 more people lived on the island of Manhattan than live there today, and most buildings topped out at 5 or 6 stories. The elevator not only allowed us this skyline, but also changed the way people worked and lived.
If we didn't have elevators, that megalopolis would stretch from Boston to Washington, D.C. into the Ohio border.
For 60 years, Patrick Cars repaired, maintained, and modernized elevators, sold and collected elevator parts, studied and recorded elevator history, and served as an expert witness in elevator-related litigation.
I started working in the elevator business. I was 11 years old with my father on a Saturday, and got into my blood.
When Elijah Otis designed, patented, and sold the first reliable safety brake, he allowed passengers to ride hundreds, then thousands of feet into the sky without fearing for their lives. Elevator shafts rose up in new buildings everywhere. But Carr says if Otis stepped into an elevator's machine room today, he'd likely recognize very little. And 50 years from now, the same might go for Carr, who expects elevators to lose their cables, carrying us higher and lower, faster and more efficiently, as growing populations around the world and an increasing emphasis on cities force mankind to build up, stacking people on top of one another, in future structures dwarfing the nearly 4,500 combined vertical feet of One World Trade and Dubai's Burj Khalifa, the tallest freestanding buildings in each hemisphere. But before we standardize any of those improvements, before the installation of any of the 62,000 New York City elevators in use today, before any human experienced the ups and downs of their daily life in the city by elevator, workers installed this cylindrical elevator shaft to move the Cooper Union students.
The first shaft was started in 1853 here in the Foundation building.
In Greenwich Village, I'm Matt King, Fox 5 News.